Miami, Florida is one of the hot spots of America today, and honestly, in the world. According to Census.gov, the 2013 estimates show that 417,650 people live in or around Miami, Florida, and they receive millions of visitors every year from across the globe. Along with this being a center for tourism in the world, there is a dark, lost, and hungry city that is dying without the love of Christ, and will continue to decline if they don't see an immediate hope. I witnessed everything that I speak about firsthand. I visited these places. I helped make a difference in these communities. My mission trip to Miami was a wonderful experience, full of ministry, hard labor, relaxation, and fellowship. First, I will describe the people that I experienced this mission trip with. Second, I will tell about different events that we had the opportunity to experience while we were on the trip. And third, I will discuss how I made a difference through this trip and how you can do the same thing if you set your mind to it. My mission trip to Miami was a wonderful experience, full of ministry, hard labor, relaxation, and fellowship. Fellowship with others was a very integral part of my journey. This trip happened during July and August in 2012. My youth group from Great Bend, Kansas joined together with Colonial Heights Assembly of God's youth group from Wichita, Kansas. This is kind of a funny story. Our youth leaders were the people that decided we were going to take this trip together. Nobody in our youth group could stand the other students from Colonial Heights youth group before the trip even began. Also, our group decided that we were going to have a lock-in the night before and stay up all night. Huge mistake. Colonial Heights got a good night's sleep, so they were awake and ready to go. We, on the other hand, not so much. It took us a total of 36 hours to drive from Wichita, Kansas to Miami, Florida. We made the journey in one fatal swoop without stopping to sleep or to rest at all. We took a Greyhound charter bus the entire way, so you can imagine the smells that emanated from the back of the bus. It's bad. As the trip went on, the Colonial Heights group grew on us a tad bit, and we ended up having God-breathed and God-enlightened conversations. These guys weren't so bad after all. We forgave them for rocking out to I Whip My Hair Back and Forth at 3 o'clock in the morning while we were all trying to sleep. So, since we're on better terms now, how did our trip end up going? What kind of things did we get to experience together? We experienced downtown Miami, South Beach, and Little Haiti. Downtown Miami was one of the most memorable outreaches that we took part of the entire time we were there. During the day, we went canvassing, which means we went door to door and handed out flyers to an event that a church in the community was having that evening. They were having supper and giving out food and beverages to impoverished families, and there was a speaker. My youth group actually got to lead worship, and we got to do a human video to minister to the lost. Around 300 people showed up, which really blew all of us away. I had the opportunity to help lead a little boy and his mom to Christ. His name was Gavin. I wish I knew today what became of him. I bet God is smiling on that boy's life right now. South Beach was both a place for relaxation and for ministry. We spent an entire afternoon at the South Beach area of Miami. During this time, we had a period of rest and fellowship. We hung out at the beach, we saw the sights, and we made sandcastles and sand angels. We jumped into the ocean, and many of us, including myself, experienced the coast for the very first time in my life. On the final day of the mission trip, we went back to South Beach and had a prayer walk. We actually were cursed out by a man riding by a skateboard, and also a homeless man sleeping up against a palm tree. It was a beautiful morning, though. The seagulls were out in droves. We walked the entire area of South Beach, doing a prayer walk, and then spent upwards of an hour praying along the shoreline and allowing God to have his way in that beautiful place. We also had the amazing opportunity to visit Little Haiti. Little Haiti is basically a third world country inside the Miami city limits. I couldn't believe how impoverished and how sad the living quarters of this place were. There were houses with no roofs. There were kids roaming around free with no parental guidance. There were pets running around, flea-bitten, injured, and whining. During our time in Little Haiti, we helped a frail old man that was outside painting his house by himself. He had the nicest house in the neighborhood, but it still didn't have a front door. Not a single one of these houses had an air conditioning system, and it was 100 degrees out that day, easily, and muggy. We also helped others clean out their yards of weeds, sticks, and trash, and ministered to a few families door to door and invited them to church that was happening that night. This is one experience of my trip to Miami that I'll never forget. My heart instantly broke upon arriving in Little Haiti. It's heart-wrenching to think that places like this exist even in our homeland. This place literally looked like some little African village that was on the brink of becoming a desolate wasteland. My heart still breaks, even thinking about it too much. Throughout this trip, I had so many opportunities to reach out to people and make a difference. Our main goal in going was accomplished, to bring people to know the love of Christ. Gavin, the boy I prayed with, was at one of the outreaches that we did. During the worship, he was jumping and dancing, but he didn't know what it was about. After talking to him, he or his family had never heard of Jesus. This was their very first time even hearing the name. During the service, I sat with him and his mom, and afterwards, I prayed with them. With tears running down both of their faces, they accepted Christ. It's moments like that that we should live for. Moments like that that every Christian should strive to have with somebody else. It was great to hear the stories of others that went on the trip as well. Multiple students described stories of how they helped win somebody for the kingdom of God, or about how they were extremely generous or showed care for somebody at one of the outreaches. I know that through this, others can know the love of Christ and become his son or daughter. I described our times of fellowship that we had with each other. I told about different outreaches that we did during our time there. I also told about how I personally made a difference in a single life that was there. My mission trip to Miami was a wonderful experience, and I hope you have the opportunity to go on one if you have not already. You can do the same thing if you set your mind, your finances, and your goals toward it. Thousands of mission trips are in progress every single year. If you've never had the opportunity, seek it out. Go on one. I guarantee God will work through you in a way that you never even thought possible. Thank you for your time.